What began as a revolution by followers of exiled Dominican President Juan Bosch quickly deteriorated into outright anarchy when the leadership was taken over by communist agents. They exhorted civilians to take to the streets, replaced their wooden clubs with rifles, and instituted a reign of terror. President Johnson ordered Marines into the country to protect the democracy.
The American nation cannot, must not, and will not permit the establishment of another communist government in the Western Hemisphere. We know that many who are now in revolt do not seek a communist tyranny. We think it's tragic indeed that their high motives have been misused by a small band of conspirators who receive their directions from abroad. To those who fight only for liberty and justice and progress, I want to join with the Organization of American States in saying, in appealing to you tonight to lay down your arms and to assure you there is nothing to fear.
Most of the 3,000 Americans in the Dominican Republic were evacuated quickly and effectively. Some had spent a night of deadly suspense in a refugee center as rebels threatened their lives, firing shots over their heads to underline the fact that they recognized no rules of war. Within a week, the initial force of Marines was bolstered to 14,000 men, including units of the 82nd Airborne. The troops threw a cordon around downtown Santo Domingo, where most of the rebels held out and pushed them towards the sea. This was the first taste of war for these men, but they acted like veterans. Efficiently trained, they flushed out snipers, but not without cost. Before the week was out, 5 American soldiers were dead. Intelligence reports indicate that 52 trained communist agents slipped into the country 2 weeks before the revolt began, 32 of them Cubans. These infiltrators had but one aim, to set up another communist state in the Caribbean. There are ways to beat the most common World's Fair affliction, sore feet. View it from the air. You can take a helicopter sightseeing tour, or stay closer to the ground and still get an aerial view. The answer is the monorail ride, a short version of the experimental transportation method that these scouts may someday see on a regular basis. Hung from a single track, the trains are capable of high speeds, but here at the fair they set a leisurely pace, the better for viewing the sights below. This same type of transportation is in use in Tokyo. It was built for the Olympic Games, and in Seattle, where the overhead cars ran to the fair site there. This one in New York gives you an unparalleled view of the amusement area, a section of the fair that has been enlarged since last year. So there you have what many experts say is the train of the future. Swift and sure it is, but one word of caution, please do not get off between stations. The classic horse race of them all, the Kentucky Derby, is run for the 91st time. This year with an added starter. Fire breaks out in the grandstand shortly before the race is to start. Louisville firemen set a track record in getting the fire under control, and they were ready for the run for the roses just about a half hour behind schedule. Eleven horses are in the gate and they break fast, with Flag Raiser, an outsider, setting the early pace as they begin the 1.25-mile drive. The heavy favorite, Bull Lad, is back in the pack running 5th as Flag Raiser, Nerushua, and Lucky Debonair, number 8, show the rest of the field the way home. The number to watch, of course, is that big number 8. Lucky Debonair is under a firm hold by jockey Willie Shoemaker, who eases him along on the outside. In the backstretch, it's a nose-and-nose duel between Flag Raiser and the Debonair one. It's not until they move around the final turn into the stretch that Shoemaker calls on his horse to give his all. Under a touch of the whip, Lucky Debonair keeps a pace ahead of Flag Racer, who begins to tire. The run for the wire is a leather-slapping shebang as Dapper Dan, number 1 on the outside, makes a strong bid. Shoemaker has to whip Lucky Debonair over the finish, and he makes it by a neck. It's a matter of local boy makes good, for Lucky Debonair is a Kentucky-bred horse who will now travel north for a go at the Preakness, the next major race.